happening. Uh, yeah. It's like I see all these advocates of human rights. You know what I'm saying? They're like advocates, man, total advocates of human rights. Unless you do drugs. Same thing. That's just as bad as calling someone a terrorist, basically. Because oh man, you must do this or that or this. There's so much assumption in people's minds about it. And there's so many bad examples of it as well that you can't too much blame people for being so suspicious of others. But I mean, if you've been through that lifestyle, you know what I'm saying? Like if you were raised by people that grew up in the 60s and 70s, I mean, it's like it's everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's just my grandma used to tell me this all the time. She's like, Chris, don't you know that politicians and lawyers and judges and police and high official people, and my grandma ran in those circles. She's the person who started the Genesee County Head Start program. I mean, for instance. So, I mean, and my grandpa worked for the city. So, I mean, and they were both vets, okay? And vets, if you know anything about Vietnam vets, a lot of vets, the only way they could make it through that war is with speed and heroin. Like my grandpa said, he said that the gooks put opium in the weed trying to make the soldiers so high that they didn't want to fight, but instead it just killed their conscience and they could go on just getting crazy. Like there's a lot of vets who got so addicted from the action, you know what I'm saying, over in Nam, that when they came home, the only thing they could do to replace it was rob banks. You know what I'm saying? That movie Dead Presidents is about it. But let me tell you some of the origins of the drug war. The origin of the drug war goes back to the time like I was like I just did a song and I was like manifest destiny only manifested death and destruction because that was the whole plan. You know what I'm saying? What they did is the guy who founded the first five colleges of America, Yale, infamous Skull and Bones, and I read this in a book, so this isn't just me making this up. This isn't my commentary. This isn't my opinion. This is documented. But the founder, what he did when he whoa, what the hell was that? They just magnetized my screen and blurred it. This guy, what he did is that they brought imported Chinese so they could pay them slave labor wage, kind of like they use the Mexicans now. And what they did is they would, as soon as they paid the Chinese after they would build, then they would bring in the opium dealers. And during the time, there's all these opium dens. That's when people were getting shanghaied. There was a lot of, I mean, you could get away with it real easy back then. And this dude basically, so it would be the same thing as now with the CIA bringing in cocaine and then not only making a profit from their operatives not knowing that they're part of the CIA in the streets, like Freeway Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross, is a fucking excellent example. You can also watch Cocaine Cowboys. Uh, and you also find out how Bill Clinton's brother's tied up in the cocaine industry. And it's the same type of a thing as the railroads. They actually made so much profit that they founded the original colleges from this operation, this ancient drug op. And it worked so well that they used it again in our modern era. And you even watch how I watched a documentary called Mr. Untouchable, and he was a heroin dealer back in the 70s, and how he was having the soldiers bring heroin over in the planes back to Harlem. And eventually, Nixon, that's when the president got in on the dope game. It's the same thing with Prohibition and Al Capone. When they made things illegal, all of a sudden the rate goes. Whether you made it illegal or not, and whether the destructive effect is real or not, it doesn't matter. You want that boogeyman to exist. Oh my God, there is a alcohol maker everywhere. We need spies, man. We need to see inside your house to make sure to protect you. That's how your FBI got all its power. Is what it is. It's they made a deal with Canada. As soon as they made alcohol illegal here, Canada started majorly producing all kinds of alcohol. And for instance, my great grandfather up on the reservation, I've heard rumors he used to drive across the ice and go get stuff from Canada because a lot of people don't know this about the Indians in Michigan. That our actual tribe goes from here way into Canada. You know what I'm saying? Even though we're incrementally cut off now by national boundaries, but yet we are related. You know what I'm saying? So it's another thing. People ain't so much privy to, aware of. And all right, when you got the whole LSD explosion, Timothy Leary, Jerry Garcia, Garcia, Jerry Garcia, and all the acid and Leary, basically these guys were fucking government operatives. And at the time, the CIA through MK Ultra was trying to find the truth serum, and Huxley was working with them, and they were looking for the mythical mushroom soma that would make anyone happy regardless of their circumstances, and therefore they could have their utopia dystopia society. And it was through implementations of drugs. But since they can't do that now, and Huxley even properly, correctly defined what terrorism is, it was coercive tactics of the government on the people to get them to subject themselves to some kind of something that normally people wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? They would consent to it. It's like, all right, we'll put up with this shit as long as you give me my soma every day. And now you see methadone clinics that do this. Basically, I mean, if they can keep you so dependent on any substance, like for instance, heroin, that you develop such an addiction to it that after a while, if you don't have it, you can't even function. You puke. You could actually die. Your body will just shut off. Like your body gets so comfortable with this euphoria that you will die without it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about that because, I don't need to find out if it's true or not. I've seen enough fiends and junkies, you know what I'm saying, to know better than that myself. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and once again, just like it was in the 70s, just like it was in the 80s with the cocaine, just like it was in the 60s with the LSD, the only good drug there is marijuana, and that's totally illegal for multiple reasons. For one, I've heard it's an anti-MK Ultra drug because once you smoke it, you relax, and now when you look at things, you can get a more accurate perception. Sometimes, not all the time. If you're so fucking high, you can't stop laughing at your own reflection. Well, but listen, think about that. How that it can take someone who's about ready to commit suicide, or just so depressed they can't even move or eat. They smoke the weed. They cheer up, lighten up, and that keeps you alive. Stress kills you. Stress is what causes heart attacks. Stress is what makes you age prematurely. You know what I'm saying? I advocate usage of things. It's like I believe every person, you're your own person. It's not up to me to tell you what to do with your own body. Can I suggest to you, like, yeah, man, I've seen crackheads, I've seen fucking heroin addicts, I've seen people on all kinds of stuff, and there are all kinds of side effects from it. Not only is there, even though, listen, any drug you do, if you quit, you'll recover from it. You know what I'm saying? But when the fucking police catch you with a little bit of whatever it is, and you're fucking stigmatized, now every time you go to get a job, they're looking at you like some kind of scum of the earth, which I know people who do drugs are not the scum of the earth. I know better than that. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I just know it's political. It's just a political way to, once again, disempower people. You don't even have the right to put what you want in your body. I mean, that's just, listen, and that's been like that since like 1915 when they made marijuana illegal because they did that to discriminate against Mexican farmers. That's the real reason they did it. Just like gun control was started, they said that they need 357s to kill black men on cocaine who rape white women. You can go look that up. That's legit. That is legit. Just like, you know what I'm saying? Prohibition wasn't this religious movement. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't this what are they called, man? The Puritan. It was an act of the Puritans. It wasn't. It was a ploy to. It's like the government was like, man, we need to make money off this. All these people are making money. Uh, we need to create that boogeyman. That listen, at the time, Al Capone was Osama. They had someone, and then what's his name? Nicky Barnes, and Escobar, Freeway Ricky Ross. They always gotta. Each generation has this new boogeyman. So right now, basically, if you're Islamic terrorist, or if you're a drug addict, you're the scum of the earth. They don't care if they throw you in the fucking vaporization chamber. I mean, that is how ignorant people are sometimes about these things. And they are also, they just won't be honest. It's like, listen, see, they feel if you're a public figure, you got to have this pristine public image. And I mean, in all actuality, you really do in these societies. You know what I'm saying? And the way society is, its construct, it's like, thou shalt not lie unless it's on your job application. Thou shalt not steal unless you're a politician. Uh, you know, I mean, there's many of examples of this, man, and it's just I see beyond that. That's almost like they used to keep us divided up with race. And you know, listen, in Florida, I hung out with an Egyptian dude, a Mexican dude, multiple white dudes. I hung out with a Puerto Rican. Mexicans and Puerto Ricans don't get along. You know what I'm saying? And I hung out with black dudes down in St. Petersburg. Before I went to Florida, I lived with the black guy from Detroit who was 10 years older than me. You know what I'm saying? He taught me a lot of stuff. You know, listen, I am not a racist. If anything, I roll in something called the minority group. You know, which means all minorities, including white people, or your Anglos. They're welcome as well, dude. As long as you don't have no ill races. I mean, it's okay. Everyone, you can have your own little petty prejudices to an extent. You know what I'm saying? We all have that societally programmed into us, but you can deprogram from that, and you can learn a lot from people who are that you wouldn't associate with. Like, dude, in like 94, man, my stepdad, his parents never met a black person in their entire life, and they're from Cloud, Michigan. I'm just telling you, you don't think segregation still exists? It does. And it's just ignorance, man. People are just afraid of, I guess, the unknown or what's different from them. Even though when I see a human, I see a human. I know under their skin, it's flesh and blood. You know what I'm saying? And what keeps that alive is soul, spirit. You know what I mean? And I know we all have the same temptations. We have all the same weaknesses. We all have something that we're ashamed of. And if you don't, that's a person you need to watch out for. Dangerous is a man who never has made a mistake. He has nothing to atone for. You know what I mean? But I don't know, man. It's just this is listen. I mean, having prejudice against drug addicts, for the wrong reasons, is the same thing as all Mexicans steal cars, all black people sell crack. I mean, these are stereotypes. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I personally, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, listen. Things that are good are good. Things that are bad are bad. You know, I'll say that. You know, not in all situations. Some things are bad, and in other situations they're acceptable. You know what I'm saying? You just got to know the difference for yourself, and don't get. It's just another reason to, you know what I'm saying, to divide and conquer us. You know what I mean? And especially when people had this holier than thou, you know what I'm saying, attitude, man.